Hello, beautiful people. This is Dawn. Thank you so much for stopping by. In case you're new here, I am a spiritual life coach and I share tips, tricks, techniques, my own experiences from working with other people, working with myself, hopefully to help you on your shadow magic journey. Okay, that's a long intro. Anyway, I wanted to do a video on something that I got from somebody in my group. Well, actually two people. So one person, actually the question was, what do you struggle with the most? And I found an interesting response to that. Not seeing the overwhelming bad some people have inside. Okay, so when I asked him a little bit more about that, not seeing the dark magic that people use sometimes. He feels like it's draining his good, okay? And then he also went on to say that sometimes good people, he triggers that darkness in them as well. Okay, and then the other person that I want to talk about is said only seeing the worst in himself. Okay, so I'm putting those two together and I'm answering them together because the root cause is pretty much the same thing. You wouldn't think so, but I'll explain it. Okay, so let's start with the other one, the triggering negative stuff in other people. This can be a big deal. This could be a problem because other people get in your life and they mess around because they can, because you let them. And it's not to make you feel bad. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I want you to be really honest and understand that you let them in some way. You may not be conscious of it. Who consciously wants a bully to come in and mess with them? Nobody does. Not that I'm aware of. Okay, so let's look at this in a way that you are empowered to make changes. Once you are aware of how you are allowing somebody, you can make changes. Okay, and the reason why these two, seeing only the worst in myself and triggering the negative or the bad in other people are the same, is because they come from a lack of self-love and self-confidence. And I'm going to teach you something that'll help you build that self-confidence up. Okay, and I do have a video that explains how to do the exercise. And if you do that exercise, you're going to see a major shift in your life. Okay. So I turned the sound off of my laptop. So anyway, I want to talk about this lack of self-love and lack of self-confidence, how that can put you in a place where you're triggering the negative in other people. So if you go back in the way back machine, back to when you were a toddler, when you were 2-3 years old or so, you are in a hypnagogic state. We all go through this because we need to learn as quickly as possible how to survive. And when we are born, we're born a blank slate. That means we don't have any reference to base any kind of a judgment, like, oh, dad's drunk again, that's why he's being so mean. So because we don't have that ability to make a judgment and decide, oh, that's a good thing to believe in, or that's a bad thing to believe in, we just accept everything. And many times that information, that data that's coming into our brains is misinterpreted. I'll tell you a story. So this is a story I like to tell a lot because it really explains well how we misinterpret the situation when we're children, when we're very young. So there's this mother and two children, two daughters. The younger daughter noticed that the older daughter got a dessert. Wait a minute, where's my dessert? And so she asked her mother, can I have a popsicle too? And the mother says, well, you need to finish eating your dinner. That's the rule, right? And that's a good thing to teach your children, right? You need to finish your dinner, and then you can have a dessert. Well, this little girl wasn't quite getting it, because the older sister got a dessert and she had finished her dinner. So, I mean, legally, she could have her dessert. But her mother kept telling her, no, you can't have your dessert until you finish your dinner. Well, the little girl is 5 years old, went to bed without finishing her dinner and without a dessert. So she kind of went to bed hungry. And she developed a belief that she was not good enough. She was not as valuable as her older sister, and her mother loved her older sister more than her. That is how she interpreted that situation. That's what she learned from it. Now, children tend to blame themselves. This is very true. So when a child is being abused, the child tends to say things like, well, I was bad, I deserved it. I wasn't picking up my toys, or I wasn't doing what I was told to do. But the child doesn't have any reference, they can't decide whether this is right or wrong. And because mom is upset or dad is angry, it's got to be my fault. I'm the 3-year-old. I don't know enough, so it's got to be my fault. So there's that tendency. But if you don't unlearn that, then things like triggering other people's negativity to harm you, or to respond to you in a negative way, an unfriendly way, that can come from childhood. Maybe you interpreted the situation to mean that it's normal for people to show me their negativity. It is normal for people to not treat me very well. Okay, so you could have learned that from childhood. And as an adult, you trigger other people's negativity in order to fulfill that belief that people need to be this way to me, because that's the way it's always been. That's the way it was when I was 3 years old. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, same thing with the other one, seeing only the worst in yourself. Maybe you were criticized a lot as a child. Maybe you misinterpreted something as, this means I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I can't, I'm not acceptable, I'm not valuable, nobody loves me. That sort of rat hole that we can fall down into. So in thinking the worst of myself is along the same lines. You developed beliefs that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not acceptable, you're not valuable, things like that. And if you go back into your childhood, you might be able to see it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It depends on your ego. And if you go looking enough, you'll find it. But I urge you to get into nurturing your own emotional needs first. Because if you go digging around in your shadow, you're going to dig up some very emotional, traumatic experiences from that time. And you need to know what to do with those emotions when they come up, okay? So processing your emotions and nurturing your emotional needs, those two things are so powerful and very important when you're doing shadow work. And it's something you need to be able to do ahead of time. Okay, so processing your emotions, I've talked about this in my other videos. I will link the video either down below or up above, or somewhere. It'll show up somewhere. I'll put it in multiple places so to be easy to find. But on processing your emotions and nurturing your emotional needs. So basically processing your emotions. When you get upset, when do you let it go? When do you deal with it? When do you take care of it? It's important to listen to those emotions because they're a language. And they will tell you what is going on, what is happening. And if you can interpret and get the message, then you can make a correction and be well on your way. And instead of being angry for hours or days or months or even years before you even process that emotion. So what I'm suggesting is that you process your emotions daily, Watch for them. When you feel that intensity of worry building up, process it. Pay attention to it. What does worry mean? Worry means I don't have a plan. Well, let me get out my budget and see what's going on with my money, since I'm worrying about money. And then I'll know what my plan is. And then I can stop worrying. And then take some deep breaths and flush that out. So meditation can help, and breathing techniques. And so I'd go over a breathing technique in this, the video that I'm going to show you, or not show you, link, and then you can go look at it yourself. Basically, you're breathing because you want to get to the place where you feel light, where you feel lightheaded, and meditation can take you there too. So if you have trouble with your breathing, say asthma or something like that, try meditation where you get to a place where you feel light, because spirit feels light. And when you're not in the present moment, you do not feel light. You cannot feel good and not be in the present moment. When you are in the present moment, you feel good, you feel light, you feel happy, you feel joy. Okay? Nurturing your emotional needs is about your self-talk, and I've written a script that you can read to yourself, and I teach this in my, actually I think I'm going to change the name. I've been calling it Self-Mastery for Witches, but I might be calling it A Witch's Guide to Self-Mastery. I don't know, what do you think? So anyway, back to the script. You can read the script, and it is very nurturing emotionally. And this is coming from your older self, your higher self, your more together self, your self-mastered self, and speaking to your wounded inner child. And it's very nurturing, it is very healing, and it will make your inner child feel safe. When a child feels safe, they do not throw tantrums. They are actually feel comfortable, feel safe when they feel they're being heard and feel nurtured. So your wounded inner child will feel nurtured and will not feel the urge to, scream and yell, throw a tantrum, and which will affect your behavior. But if you're not watching for this wounded inner child, you're not going to know that's where it's coming from. So nurturing your emotional needs will build up your confidence, your self-love in a tremendous way. I was so blown away when I started using this technique, this exercise. So I will link to that video as well. Okay. So that's all I wanted to share. I hope this helps, and I want you to, be well, be happy. So do something today that makes you feel good and brings you joy. I love you all, and until next time, blessed be.